everybody. Hi. Let's see. Yeah, I know the mic is on, and I'm pretty sure you heard me. I mean, I'm pretty sure you heard ambient sound, right? The creaking floorboards, me getting granola. I don't know. I mean, it was probably, very, very boring sounds. But I didn't want to turn off the mic because I wasn't totally sure that you would hear the music if I did. I don't know. I had a lot to figure out. I mean, this whole setup, look at this. I've got my today's been a crazy day and I got to eat. I got to eat. I got to have some of this granola. I may not eat all of it. I probably got a little bit too much. And it is a little bit weird. You know, some people are into the mukbang thing. It's a whole thing. They watch videos of people eating. It gets pretty weird. But I got to eat something. Because if I don't, this is going to be awkward. If I don't eat a little bit of something, then the stream won't be as good because I need to have energy. So welcome everybody. I'm still going to give some time for people to come in and find the thing, but I can say hello to Myra. Hey, Marianne. Thank you for being a subscriber for 2 months. Marianne, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all my subscribers. It is very, very encouraging. I've decided that's probably the best word to use for it. It's not making me a wealthy woman, but it's because it's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, you could say it's not the point. It is not the point, but it is encouraging when somebody's like, "Hey, we like what you do enough to like basically give you a tip." That makes me feel really good. That's what it feels like, and so I really, really appreciate everybody who's doing that. Thank you. You got to get some thread. You got to get some thread. You got to get a needle and thread. Pam Priest is here. Hello. White Timber Cottage, Caroline. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for being a subscriber for 2 months. I really appreciate it. And it's so good to see you because I haven't seen you in a while, so it's great. It's great. Amy, hello. Fiandor. Hey, you subscribed with Prime. Everybody's subscribing today. Sunday. Interesting. Maybe you're feeling grateful on a Sunday. I don't know. Grateful and happy and bountiful or something. I don't know. Not grateful. I don't mean grateful to me. I don't know. Here's what happened today. Let me finish saying hello to everybody. Nothing's coming out right. Fiandor, thank you for coming. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. If you are an Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe to one Twitch channel for free every month. And you can use your Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe to this show. You have to do it every month. You have to remember to re-up every month, I guess. It doesn't just go until you tell it to not go. But that's pretty cool. Hey, Caitlin. Oh, it's sewing there. It's snowing there. That is great. And Caitlin, where are you again? Where are you? Fiandor coming in with the tunes. I'm going to turn on some tunes here in a second. Yeah, Caitlin, I don't remember where you are. Pam Priest, almost cold enough to snow. It's pretty chilly here in London. What? SJ's in Southern California, of course. She, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I still need to sort of wake up and see. I need to have a little granola. All I saw from SJ's next chat was, I am drinking. It's like, okay, great. I am drinking coffee and pretending to be cozy. That's good. Hey. Just So Viv has been machine quilting. Feeling it in the back. I hear that. So you're going to do some applique on the couch. I love that. Love that. I know, sometimes that whole mukbang thing, I don't know, it's a whole thing. It's a strange pocket of YouTube where people do that. And then there are people who react to the people who do that, who do reaction videos to the people who mukbang. I mean, the YouTube is weird. Oh, by the way, I clicked, I haven't done it yet, but I now have the option to stream to YouTube as well as streaming from, on Twitch. So I just have to I have to enable something and wait 24 hours. So I think it should be that the stream on Tuesday night, or Tuesday, we'll be live on YouTube as well. I don't even know. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. Okay. Sadie Mac, hello. Quilting Nancy. Hello. Michelle Van Scrappy. I love that name so much. You're in Michigan. Oh, in Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's really beautiful. I was just thinking about the Upper Peninsula because I was thinking about Rachel May, who wrote An American Quilt, that amazing book that she wrote about finding a quilt top when she was working in her doing grad school, and there were records of a family, and they were slave owners, and it's really, really interesting. And she lives in the Upper Peninsula, so I was picturing the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and how beautiful it is, and I was thinking about Rachel May. Sue is here. Hello. I have to tell you. Okay, so Chris Mess. Chris Mess, Chris Mess is our resident tattoo artist, and Chris Mess is not a quilt person, but Chris Mess, I don't know that they, them, her, he, I don't know who you are. You're a total stranger to me other than your name. It's not important, but this person, Chris, it just came along, isn't a quilt person yet, but was kind of sucked into the quilt nerd orbit and just kind of digs the vibe around here. I think it's a pretty good vibe. And on Sunday, when we do a show on Sunday, at least for now, we sew. We just hang out. It's nerdy because it's us, but it's less. I'm not like taking you down the into the bushels and brambles and briars of quilt nerdery, unless I decide to do that and bag the sewing. But I don't think I will. And I'm really hungry. Okay. Mail. Okay. That's a great question. Oh, and we've got a nun maker, Amy. Amy, that's right. Amy, I'm very happy to see you digitally. Yeah. Transition. Yeah. Well, okay. Faith, hello. You're not late. You're right on time. Okay. Now let's put on some music. And I won't be, this is fine. This music that I can play. This is music that I can play. I think it'll be good. It's called Afternoon Jazz. And if I'm a member of this thing and pay this money each month, I can play whatever I want. See, now I can eat, and it's not quite as weird. Oh. I gotta check the volume. Got my green screen up. It's not perfect. And all of the patchwork you see behind me is Yvonne Wells. I used some images from Yvonne Wells's wonderful quilts. Maybe we'll talk about her on Tuesday. What a maestro. What a virtuoso. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about Yvonne Wells on Tuesday, and I'm tattoo quilts. Because Chris is here, so you won't miss it. I mean, I hope you can join us on Tuesday, but we'll talk about. Maybe it's a little loud. Is it a little loud? Yeah. Anyway, we'll do tattoo stuff. Yeah, tattoo stuff. And in the Discord. That reminds me of something. If you all have suggestions about tattoo quilts or related, to be honest with you, one of the things like I'm thinking of bringing to that conversation would be some of Tulipic's fabrics, right? I don't want to say it because then Chris might read ahead. He might go Googling, and I don't want that. But you know what I'm saying? The fabric designer that starts with T. And that her first name starts with T and her last name starts with P. Oh, interesting. Chris says quilt tattoos are rare, but they almost always are baby themed to celebrate a birth. usually a teddy bear or such, but there is a new trend in tattooing wear, like on a baseball cap logo, each individual thread is tattooed. Really? Wow. Interesting. Well, this is another thing I'll just save for the show on Tuesday. But if you all have some ideas, it'd be great. And then I'm thinking of a few quilt makers, a few males who were in a all-male show. That sounds kind of weird, but they were, and I'm thinking of I got some stuff. Anyway. Well, the reason I didn't get to eat yet, and I think I won't be eating much longer. It is, I don't know. I don't want to talk with my mouth full, but that's what I'm here to do. Just talk to you, And I won't talk the whole time. There's a person moving out upstairs, and this person was rarely ever around. But we saw him for like the third time since we got here in August. Yesterday. We got here in August, and we saw him for the third time yesterday, and we were like, oh, hello. It's like seeing a ghost or something. He's just not around. And he said, oh yeah, I'm moving out actually. I was like, oh. And we just chatted for less than 10 seconds, but he's like, I was like, oh, where are you moving to? And he's moving in with his girlfriend. And so today they were doing some move out stuff, and the girlfriend has children, or they have children together. I don't know. The two little girls who I think were like made of tornadoes, or they were little Tasmanian devils is what they were. Oh my God. I mean, they were running back and forth. It's really good timing that this is happening now and not an hour ago, because I did a test recording. Hey, So Demented. Excellent. Oh, that's great, Amy. That's great. Yes, that's great. That fabric line. So anyway, I had to do my little recording test, and it was like bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. As they were running back and forth, I was like, I don't know, man. That's gonna annoy everybody watching as much as it is annoying me now. So I tried to get a nap earlier. Didn't really happen. And then I was rushing around. So anyway. All right, I'm going to take a few more dainty bites. Get yourself situated. What if this was the show? This is set. The sewing stuff was just set dressing, and I'm just like, it's a granola stream. You know what? I bet someone who does that, who just has, jazz, green screen, yogurt, they probably have like 50,000 followers. Probably. Good for them. God. Is the world weird or what? It's so weird. Okay. I don't know where to put it. I just think about the people who've never been here before, who don't know what's going on. Okay, enough. All right. So, I can't really show you what I'm working on. I'm so glad you're all here, by the way. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Marianne, I feel weird how I said thank you for being a subscriber. I was like, it's like getting a tip. That's felt weird to me somehow. I have to address it, or it'll be on my mind all day. I don't know. It takes me a second to just simmer down, but thank you for subscribing. Let's see. So I'm working on this quilt that I started in 2020 during the first wave of the pandemic. And it's my COVID quilt, and if you're not a quilt person, you might not know that a lot of quilters, well, we really like making quilts, so a a lot of quilt makers have made a COVID quilt, or they, or have made a quilt to, mark that time. They made a quilt because they were going nuts and they had to do something, and quilting is kind of your go-to if you're a quilt maker. Some of the COVID quilts are specific, they have little coronavirus, patchwork shapes and things, and other people, just make a quilt and it's their COVID quilt because they made it during the pandemic. I'm making one that is pictorial. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to show you. But I started it in 2020, and then my husband and I moved to London, and then we went back to Chicago, and then we went back to London. So it's not done yet, And I can't really show you all of it, but, oh, yeah, that's my green screen. So it says USA, stay safe, stop COVID-19, one love. I've got my little, my workers. Where are my workers? My essential workers. Yeah. And here, one love, stars, shapes, old quilt blocks I didn't know what to do with, flowers, things like that. So now I'm quilting it and turning the binding on it, and I just have made the decision to not carry this quilt into 2022. It's got to get done, and it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to get done, but I want to get it done because it's gone on long enough. So that's what I'm working on today. I'm gonna hand quilting, and I'm using a big stitch technique. This isn't the best way to get my hoop going here, but yeah, hang on. I gotta do it right. That's what my mom would say. Do it right. Okay. I'm on the floor. I'm just right here. I just have to. See, I'm right there. You can see me. Okay. Oh yeah. Strike back. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're really glad you come around, Chris. It's so cool. Nope, you didn't miss it, and this is perfect, because since you're here, I can make sure you know that that's coming up. Hey, Nose to Quilts! Nose to Quilts. Mary, you have inspired me to join in the social and get back to your 2020 quilt too. Yes, I'm not alone, and neither are you. I need to go back and watch the end of the live from yesterday. Had too much cider and fell asleep. Girl, you're a woman after my own heart. My own cider drinking heart. Actually, I haven't had cider in a while, but, the wine. No! You just Marianne just rotary cut over a pin. And it was a newish blade. Are you wearing your safety glove? We always talked about that on the show. Okay. Let me do this. I think I'm good. Okay. All right. So I've got this turned here, and just like the Quilt Nerd show is not a lecture, this is not a demo. I should have that up on the screen. This is not a demo. I just want to show you what I'm working on, It's a little bit, maybe it's a little bit more fun to watch. I know the screen is sort of crazy with the patchwork behind me, but I have a green screen and I'm going to use it. And I think it's nice. I also don't have to clean up because you can't see what's really going on. It's not too bad. I'm doing all my quilting just freehand, except for I'm gonna draw some semblance of a circle so I don't go totally off. But I am a firm believer that having to do everything by the book when I first started making quilts, because I was doing it in front of America, I learned a lot of good stuff, and I made a lot of quilts that I really love. And it was a very interesting way to learn how to make quilts, to be a new quilter, on a TV show, right? But I couldn't do anything really weird. I couldn't make a weird quilt. Every quilt I made had to be able to be patterned, and you had to write instructions. I mean, I didn't have to write instructions. You don't want that. But it was an option for me to make just pictorial quilts or weird quilts. And so now that's what I like. That's what I like, and that's what I'm gonna make. And I'm not gonna worry about whether they're perfect or not. I mean, I am so done with trying to make a perfect. I don't know. I never made a perfect quilt. Nobody does. But I don't know. I want to make quilts you can't write patterns for. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah, okay. SJ, prevention is key. That's great. That's great. So the Sunday Sewcial card or whatever that says starting soon says Sunday, sewing and story time with Mary. And I forgot that part. We don't have to do that part. But if you want me to tell you a story, just let me know. You got to give me some kind of prompt, some kind of topic, and I'll tell you a story. What if it's just crickets, just nothing? Oh, don't pull my arm. Okay, well, I'll tell you a story about this and that. Amy, you were quick to embrace the finished is better than perfect attitude about your quilts. I'm very glad. I don't know, I taught, for a lot of years out on the road, the itinerant quilt teacher thing, and some people really had that down. They were like, yeah, it's great, I love it. And some people were really, of course, right, but some people were really, really focused on getting it just perfect. And some people could do the block we were working on or whatever straight out of the gate, just bang, but usually those people had been making patchwork or sewing for 30 years, or more. Tell us a story. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, so demented. We should talk about that. We need to talk about that more. The don't cut up your quilt. Put a pin in that. We'll talk about that. Tell us a story about a famous quilter you have met. Okay, that's a good question. I got a lot of them. Let me see. Well, at the last quilt market, I got a lot. Okay. At the last quilt market before the pandemic, I was walking the halls, walking the aisles. I was walking the aisles with Mike McCormick of Quilt Folk, and we were there doing our thing. And I walked up to this group of people who were talking, and someone said, "Oh, that's Ginny Byer," and I was like, I really, really went, and then I hid behind Julie Silber, who's, if you know that person or know her Instagram, she's just like Julie Silber we don't deserve her, and so, meeting her is that was cool too, but I've known her for a while now and went out to visit her and Berkeley area a couple years ago. But Jenny Beyer, I'm pretty sure it was Julie that I hid behind, but I mean, Jenny Beyer, I had never met her before, and I was such a dork. I mean, it was like a little much, but I wasn't, performing. I was just like, oh, Jenny Beyer, oh my God. And she's beautiful and amazing, and, she was lovely, and like, oh, well, hello, and I'm sure I have met her. Oh, that's another good one. So Jean Ray Laurie, we've been talking about Jean Ray Laurie on the show a couple times now, and we need to do a full Jean Ray. Chris Mess will love Jean Ray's work. I just feel like he will. And I was lecturing with my mom. We were actually lecturing together, I think, in Shipshewana, Indiana. And we talked about a slide, where there was a slide that had a Jean Ray Laurie quilt up on it or something. And I said, I was like, where's my microphone? I was like, one of the greatest, one of my biggest regrets in life, the thing I just can't ever get over. I never got to meet Jean Ray Laurie, Mom, before she died. And my mom goes, oh, you did? Yeah, she came to Iowa. She babysat you while I went and did something. Yeah, you were a baby. I was like, I have no regrets, I guess. I'm a regret-free woman. Then I did a bunch of things later that I regretted. But that was interesting. Let's see, what else? Let me think. A couple other good ones would be... Well, I mean, I just get flustered around I'll tell you about Jenny Doan. Jenny Doan, I love that woman because she and I don't know, I'll never forget it. I don't think she will either. I did a little sideshow, called Quilting with the Stars. It was right when I was starting to do TV on PBS. I was working for Fons and Porter, and they did this little show called Quilting with the Stars. I think there were just 6 episodes of it, but I interviewed quilters on that show. And I think, we looked at quilts, and anyway, I would have liked to do that more. Anyway, Jenny Doan was a guest on that show. I had never met her. I understood that she was a big deal, but I didn't understand quite the big deal that she was, which is very good. But, she's Jenny Doan. I don't want to say she's intimidating, but Missouri Star they got the Small Business Award of the Year or something from President Obama. I mean, she's been in Forbes magazine. I mean, she's a little intimidating, because she's kind of a A-list, But she was wonderful. And here I am, I'm pretty new, so it's like Mary Fons' kid. I feel like a lot of people were sort of like, okay, well, let's see how this goes, or if it goes at all. And we talked about this quilt or something. There was some story she was telling me, and we both started tearing up, and we were like we had a moment, man. Me and Jenny Doan. I remember that very well, and it was just well, hi, you're cool. And since then, whenever I see her, I mean, it's just there's some real warmth there. I love her. She is awesome, and I really, really. The people who were nice to me early on, you just don't forget that. So, here's a few. Did I meet Eleanor Burns? Oh yeah. Okay. So Eleanor Burns is also amazing, and she's definitely intimidating. And the first time I ever met her, she was a guest on the show, and I was the co-host at that time. And when Eleanor came on the show, I was like, wow, she to say she knows what she's doing is ridiculous. That's not what I mean. I mean, she was one of the first people on television teaching quilting. I mean, she's a maestro, right? And I was sort of, doing my host thing or preparing to do my host thing, and it was just Oh, cool. And I mean, I just was like, I should just do as little as possible and let Eleanor Burns like be Eleanor Burns because she's amazing. So I remember thinking, this is going to be really easy because I was like, and that's what the people wanted, I have no doubt. So that was kind of funny the first time I met her. And then we did a story on her in Quilt Folk in the Southern California issue. She was great. Yeah, Eleanor Burns. She was great. Let's see. Okay, Eleanor Burns' booth. Okay. Hey, so demented. Eleanor's booth was right beside yours. She handed out these hand fans, and every time I see her or think of her, all I think of is her saying, "Are you a fan?" She's amazing. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So demented. What was your booth? Who are you? Tell me more. Oh yeah. Well, Tula Pink. I mean, that's another person. I just have so much respect for her. I mean, that doesn't even cover it. And Tula and I have talked a few times, like, you know, as friends, right? But I'm really a bad friend. I am. I don't know. I get in my own little world, and I just love people so much, and sometimes I don't know. I just do a bad job at staying in touch, and then I feel so ashamed about being bad at staying in touch that I don't feel like I can ever make it up to that person, so I don't get in touch more. Sunday psychotherapy and story time with Mary. So I'd like to talk to Tula more, and I should text her. But she's really great, and the first time I met her, I'm trying to think, it was at Market or something. But we have a mutual, I think, admiration for each other. She's larger than life, man. She's a rock star, and she did art for artists. She was living in LA doing what am I trying to say? Album covers. Yeah, album covers for a long time, and then she got into fabric design, and the rest is history. She's great. She's very funny. Liz Porter still intimidates me every single time I talk to her or see her. She just does. She's Liz Porter. And yeah, Tula and I were on a podcast together with Elizabeth Townsend Gard down in New Orleans, and that was really fun. It's true. Is Jenny Doan the Oprah of quilting? Yeah. That's it. Let me think. Yeah, who else could it be? Totally. Jenny Doan is the Oprah of quilting. She's the Oprah of quilting. And if Oprah would get into quilting, then maybe her production company would produce my documentary. Wouldn't that be nice? I have to grab something. I'm not going to put on the BRB screen. I'm just going to grab it, okay? Hang on 1 second. You can time me. It'll be so fast. Okay, hang on. Christmas, if you're still there. Got a little Idols action. Yeah, it was getting hot, as usual. Okay, so... So, Sibby Mac just finished listening to Jenny Doan, her book, How to Stitch an American Dream. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I haven't read that. I need to read, and Nancy Zeman. Oh, that's another one. Nancy Zeman wrote a book too that I should read. I should read all of those. Hey, Bip. All right. New Hampshire. Driving home from New Hampshire. I love that. How's the weather? How's the weather? Yeah, I hate spell check too. Who mentioned, oh yeah. So one of the things that we talked about last night was this business of cutting up quilts into clothes, and it just isn't going away, and it's getting to be more and more of a thing that people do. And by the way, so if you're going to QuiltCon, you're going to see like the culmination of all my research and my analysis of this situation. But if you're here now, you're going to hear my building up of that presentation, and one of the things that's now coming into the mix there in that lecture, or in my understanding of this building or cutting up vintage quilts and making them into clothing. One of the things that's going into the mix here now is that I've been looking for other textiles that people are cutting up to make into clothes. And first I looked at kantha quilts. I was like, well, that's probably happening too, right? And it is, yeah, kantha quilts. And at Bode, I think it's actually Bode. I've said Bode, New York for a long time, but it's Bode. The big Emily Bode was the one who really kicked in the latest trend. The latest wave of quilt clothing started in like 2017 with Emily Bode's menswear line. And anyway, she has on her website coverlets, overshot coverlets. Is that the word I want? Sometimes quilts are exhibited with coverlets. They're these woven. Overshot, right? Is that what I'm thinking of? Cindy Crawford. Is Cindy Crawford photographed in a quilt coat? Really? Please put the link in the chat and in the Discord. I need all of those pictures for sure. Yeah, these coverlets are now being turned into shawls, and some of these coverlets are like and so then I was like, well, what other really awesome, cool, historically significant textile would be grist for the fashion mill? I was like, Navajo blankets? Yeah, Navajo blankets for sure. And so all of this is kind of happening, and I used to be okay with it. I'm not okay with it anymore at all, because social media has made it's a monster. What used to be a trend that was pretty limited to people who could afford to buy Ralph Lauren couture or Calvin Klein couture, it's gone rogue. It's everywhere. People are cutting up quilts and selling them on Instagram, and I don't know. We're almost 5 years into the trend, and it's bigger than ever of cutting up quilts, and I think it's a big problem. And you tell me what you think about this. I am not sewing. I want to make a video about it and put it on YouTube. And I think I want to call it Let's Talk About Quilt Clothes, or We Need to Talk About Quilt Clothes. The trouble is, when you voice a strong opinion on the internet, and especially on YouTube where people can see you, the backlash will be real. I mean, the hateful comments, the negative reactions will be really intense, and I'm in the wrong line of work, right, to be on the internet like this, because I'm so sensitive to all of that. People say something bad, and I never forget it. It's stupid for me to be doing anything like this, okay? But I am like a moth to the flame. But I want to reach out to people who are doing this and ask them if they'd like to comment, and ask them if they could answer a few questions for me, so they get a chance to say their piece. For sure. If I'm going to talk about any of these designers, I absolutely would reach out to them and say, hey, I'm making a video about this. I'm not a fan. I'm going to talk about, your work, this person's work, whatever. Can I ask you a few questions before I do that? And if they take that opportunity, then that's awesome. And I want to present in this video why I get it. I want to say that ultimately we're all going to die, and it doesn't actually, nothing matters really in the end. Very nihilistic way to think of things, but it's true. Okay, cut them up. What does it matter? But that's very dark, and that's not where I want to start with this, but I also want to point out that, a lot of these designers, I mean, most of them, 95% of them are women, often like young women, in their 30s, they've got their own business and they're making money. They're selling these things. They have a good customer base, and I think that's awesome. Quilts have provided income for women for a long time. So I love that. But the big problem is that it's women's history. It's a big problem. This is women's history that you're cutting up. We don't have a lot of it. And most of the quilts, many of the quilts, made by anonymous, unidentified artist, whatever. But people don't know what they're cutting up. You can have a quilt that has a little tiny initial on the corner, and some quilt historian would be like, oh my God, it's the missing link. It's this quilt. We've been looking for this quilt, like, oh God, help me. If I see, honestly, it makes me want to cry. If I see a quilt coat that would be made from one of the Century of Progress exhibit, I will lose something in my soul, really. The Century of Progress quilts are these iconic, magic, important quilts, important historical documents. And now I feel like I'm going to cry. You can't cut those up, man. You can't. And they would make beautiful jackets, right? They would make beautiful clothes. But you cannot do that. You cannot do that. And if you are doing that and you don't really know, if you're going to cut up something that someone else made, maybe just take a second and make sure, that would be a good idea. I mean, and like, how do you make sure? How do you check, with a quilt scholar? Like, is this quilt okay? Can I use this to make into a corset or a scrunchie or a fanny pack? Because all of these things are available. And I guess I'm doing my video now, aren't I? First rule of YouTube, don't read the comments. 1000%. It's hard because I want to like engage with my audience and be like, hey, thanks for watching, but it's true. You kind of can't. But, if you don't know, I mean, I understand that like creativity rolls along, and one day you're the one who's alive and thriving in the world, and you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and you're gonna make your stuff. But when you're talking about these records of history and just brilliant design, I'm sorry, I have been looking at the most gorgeous quilts, but they're not quilts anymore. They're jackets and they're pants, and like, it's getting really hard to look at it all. And what's really tough is a lot of the Instagram posts and stuff are people like, huge quilt drop coming tomorrow, 100 quilts for sale, and they're selling them, and they don't say cutter quilts, but sometimes there's a hashtag that says cutter quilts. And it's just madness. I mean, stacks and stacks, and they're like, massive quilt drop coming tomorrow, 65 quilts, like, get them while you can, and they sell out, and so it's just like, it's like an iceberg, like a glacier, just like, like falling into the ocean. It feels like, and there's a lot of quilts out there, millions have been made in this country. But they're not all there because they've, gone the way of, time and entropy. And, we've lost a lot of quilts naturally. Fire, flood, all that. Rot, mold, whatever. But we're losing a lot of them right now. And it's 5 years since Emily Baudet kicked the trend back into gear. 30 years after Ralph Lauren did it. Ralph Lauren did it 30 years after Adolfo did it. I mean, it happened. And so in another 30 years, if this trend goes away, and it will, eventually, there'll be even fewer quilts. And someone said to me, a designer I talked to had a very good point. She said, y'all keep making them. Quilters make a lot of quilts. And it's true, we do. But 19th century women don't make a lot of quilts anymore because they're dead. So the ones that they have made are the only ones that we have. And now if we cut up Navajo blankets for purses, all of these things are things I've seen. if we cut up kantha quilts for robes, what are we doing to our textiles? It feels very selfish to me. And I really, really, really was very ambivalent about the whole thing for years. I was like, when it's gone, let it go. But, and it's funny too, I'm sorry I'm not looking at the chat just yet, I'll catch up. But the other thing is that no one is safe. Superstars, just think about like a Sean Kimber quilt being cut up to be used for a coat. And you think like, well, that her quilts are probably safe because, they've been photographed and, she'll have a label on it, right? And people will know. No, they won't. No. And when enough time passes, no one will, because the superstars of the 19th century, they thought that their quilts would, live forever or something too. But they haven't. Now they're fanny packs. So it's a lot. I feel like that's a problem. And I kind of want to talk about it because when you go on YouTube and you search quilt coat or like vintage quilt clothing, I'd like my video to pop up and just stick in their craw a little bit, because there's tutorials and stuff about how to make clothes out of quilts. And the last thing I'll say before I catch up with you all is that everybody says, I know y'all have been hearing me talk about this for a while, but it's important. It's where my head is, man. And maybe if someone's lurking or new and they haven't heard this yet, then maybe they'll have something to think about. But they say that the quilts are busted, these designers, a lot of them, not all of them, but they say, these quilts I use, or they've lived their life, they can no longer be of use. And it's not true. A lot of them aren't telling the truth, because they're cutting beautiful garments out of quilts, and the garments are pristine, so the quilts were pristine too. Don't bullshit me, honey. Ugh, all right. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back here. Oh, good, I didn't miss too much. Okay. Cindy Crawford, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so SJ brings up, I'm still kind of stuck with the idea that quilters have such a strong history of cutting up other textiles to be made into quilts. It's true, but I mean, yardage is meant to be cut up, right? I mean, that's what it's made for, right? Is, garments, and you get a bolt of fabric and it's like, cut this up, this is your material, I'm always afraid to get too strident about anything because, maybe I'm wrong about something. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I think it's different when someone has constructed a thing and then it's that you deconstruct. So wantonly. Yeah. Kilim rugs and throws seen as pillows. Yeah. How can we square outrage of quilts being cut up to be made into clothes without balancing the reality that those quilts maybe came from clothes? Well, okay, so SJ, like, I'm feeling you, and I love a counterpoint. Like, it's so important, right? Because that's how a person builds an argument, right? You have to think of all these angles. So it's true. Okay, so it is true that quilt makers over time, across time, across the ages, have cut up clothes to make quilts. Okay, so let me think that through. Let me think about that. So I wonder, it would be unfortunate if, say, a quilt maker found a dress in a thrift shop, and because a lot of these quilts are found in eBay auctions or flea markets and whatever. So a quilt maker, I'm imagining this now, figuring this out. A quilt maker goes into a thrift store and pulls dresses off the rack because she wants to make them into quilts. And the dresses she pulls off the rack are from the 20s. No. The dresses she pulls off the rack are from 1840, and they belong to the Bronte sisters. But she doesn't know that, because nobody knows that, because Emily Bronte, or Charlotte Bronte, who made clothes mostly, didn't sign them, and she didn't put a label in them. And nobody knows that these are Charlotte Bronte's clothes. The only person who would know that would be a Bronte historian, a textile costume curator, And if they're in the thrift store, oops, like it's too late, maybe, right? It's too late to save those, and we have to let it go. And so if they're made into clothes, that's just how it goes. That's just like, that's life, right? And so I see that, that is unfortunate too, and it goes both ways. But I feel like it's different. I feel like it's different because, why do I feel like it's different? There are more clothes? But I feel like, well, here's the thing though. I don't think quilt makers use clothes as much as they use fabric, yardage, Maybe people in the chat have some thoughts on this. Maybe people could make sashiko fabric from recyclables and then use it for garments. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, like the sashiko fabric. What is the Boro cloth? Is that what I'm thinking of? Dee Marie, hey Dee Marie. We could write Cindy Crawford and ask if she ever made a quilt, and if she did, if she would cut it up and wear it. Exactly. Don't read the comments. Exactly. If you want a quilt coat, cut up your own darn work. I know, it's happening. There are some people who are doing that, but they're the people who know better anyway, Quilt rescue program. Feeling it. Marianne said, I heard a podcast which discussed this. Oh, great. And the seasoned quilters acknowledged that only a quilt that was fit to be thrown out because it's rags is suitable for cutting to save the good bits. The new quilter said she thought she would be honoring the old quilt by repurposing it, but she would think about it more now. Good. What's the podcast? Will you put it in the Discord, Marianne? I bought a cutter quilt from the Guild sale for $15, says So Demented. No intention of cutting it up. It has the absolute perfect pink. Ooh, that's great. SJ, you challenge that. You really think the superstars of the 19th century thought their quilts would live forever? Well, I mean, I think we all would like to think that our quilts would be kept by our family, or that they would be, that they would, not live forever, but like that they would be intact, that they would be of use. And I guess they are of use if they're made into clothes. I don't think my quilts are going to live forever at all. I'm very much like comfortable with the fact that if they're around at all, they'll totally be cut up, and that's how I feel about it. But I think the superstar, like the ones who were winning ribbons, the Bertha Stangeys and the Mary Gasparicks and things, those people would think that their quilts were art. They saw what they were doing as really good. Who did we look at? Edith, that wonderful quilt maker who did the Easter quilt, with the bats on it. I guess part of this gets into the art and craft thing, what quilts are, their art or their craft. And if it's art, no one should be cutting it up, right? If it's craft, maybe we can cut it up. It's like, what's that about? So it's interesting. I appreciate this, SJ. Is there a reason they're cutting up existing quilts instead of making quilts? Exactly. The reason the quilts are cut up, the reason the vintage ones are cut up, is because of the power of an old quilt. That's what's like baked into this, is that they're cutting them up because these quilts have so much symbolic meaning, and they communicate such je ne sais quoi. They have this. They're quilts, and so they have this home quality, this ineffable. Well, some people, whether they think it consciously or not, quilts kind of have a soul. They're inanimate objects. People don't think, oh, this quilt is like a person, like it has a soul. But because it's made by hand, because it takes time, it takes time, and it covered bodies, as they slept a lot of times or whatever. There comes this kind of, not holiness, I don't want to take it too far in that direction, but the reason that a vintage quilt makes people just go, oh my God, when it's a coat, is precisely because of its specialness. and and the kind of emotion and feelings that it imparts. And so because it does that, it's like, you're saying that it's really special. You're because you want to cut it up and wear it, you're proving my point and our point that it's a really special thing. Recycled clothing, yeah, mass produced, yeah. Amy says, I've made things from recycled clothing, but that's mass produced, yeah. Marianne says, I've just remembered something I read in a quilt history book. You're such a nerd. Yes, you are definitely a nerd. You belong here. They said that quilters would put the old raggedy quilt inside the new quilt, making good use of it. Yeah, totally. I've seen it a lot. Like the worn old thing, it's like the batting, or goes in with the batting, totally. Sue says, hubby, who secretly listens, hello hubby, secretly listening, just said, cutting up a quilt is like cutting up a historical document. Yeah, it can sure feel that way. I don't know. I just think taking a pair of shears into a really beautiful quilt is like, wow. I mean, it's just like, holy shit, somebody made that. And you're just like, nope. Okay. Rox, hey Rox. I gotta get to sewing. I'm never gonna finish my quilt if it's like this. But SJ. So SJ says, my mama made most of her quilts out of the scraps of her children's clothing once it was too worn out for them to wear. So she made those clothes, then she made them into a quilt, and I think she would be tickled to see them turn back into clothes again. That's interesting. That's a comment on I think an article in the New York Times or something said something similar, and I also smiled. It's true. It's like, well, comes back around. And I mean, if it's your Mima, she's probably pretty cool. I'm serious. Like and I see the beauty in that too. Yeah, what is the craft issue? Yeah, exactly. Making garments takes way less time than a quilt. That's interesting. Hey, Kirsten. Making garments does take way less time than a quilt. Yeah, depending on the garment, but yeah, a dress takes less time than a Baltimore album quilt, It's true. Unless it's SJ making the garments. Same. Can you imagine a Gwen Marston or a G's Ben quilt cut up? I mean, it's inevitable. It is inevitable. Hey, Malrose. You were thinking the same thing. That one girl we watched was talking about making 2 coats in a weekend. I could get through a top in a weekend. Right, a garment, but any more is an invitation for a nervous breakdown. Totally. Yeah, exactly. Ouch. Oh yeah, ouch to the Gwen Marston or G's Bend quilts being cut up, I know. So Demented says, but yet as soon as the quilt coat is not fashionable, it will be tossed aside, just as any other used or unwanted clothing. Right. Yeah, that's true too. Now that's a good counterpoint to SJ's pushback, right? That clothes go out of fashion. And I mean, you can say, oh, vintage clothes are great, but like how vintage, are people gonna go? Like you can wear a vintage, sweater from the 1950s and it's cool or whatever, but are you gonna wear like an ascot? Well, some people would, especially in London, but like, are you gonna wear like a placket, a sort of at a certain point you're getting into costuming if you go to really old clothes. And so clothes, you could say, are not timeless. Clothes are not timeless. Quilts are. Quilts are timeless. And they still work. They still work as bedding, as covers. That does not stop. They're functional. Whereas like a clothing item, a clothing item can stay functional, but it's hard to make a timeless garment, right? A little black dress can be pretty good, pretty timeless, but a quilt is sort of like forever. Yeah, there's a forever vibe. Maybe that's my reply to that. It's interesting. I get that, Rox, totally. It is survival, seriously. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no. I finished 47 quilt tops during the pandemic. Are you serious? Wow. Not bragging. No, that's amazing. We're an older couple and just stayed home so much out of fear. I consider those quilt tops a statement of my time keeping myself happy and mentally stable during that time. If there is a statement of those 47 quilts, it is survival. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Amazing. That is really interesting. but like that body of work is your COVID quilt, you know? Yeah, then we can shift away from this fashion business. I know I talk about it a lot. Amen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't imagine them being cut up. Rocks, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. But when things are functional, then they aren't art. A round robin argument, I know. Oh, gosh. Now what? Anyway, I really value talking about this. You know, I really do, and I appreciate you. I don't know. Yeah. I met Tim Gunn once. Yeah, I did. I met Tim Gunn. Yes, quilts are art, absolutely. Hand quilting, yeah, rocks. You came in the chat and started hanging out. I haven't sewn a stitch. I was up in my stuff, up in my feelings. So now I'll tell you about the time I met Tim Gunn. Speaking of fashion and quilts, we provide the quilt part. Tim Gunn provides the fashion part. So I was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York, and for some reason, I know why. We were members, the Fons family, we were members of the Met at the time, and I'm pretty sure we were members because, well, my sister Hannah lives in New York and has lived there for, 25 years or something, East Village. And so, you know, we don't get to New York as much, but whatever, we go to New York City. And so having a Met membership, you know, made sense, but I'm pretty sure that we got it because of the Alexander McQueen exhibit. I don't know which year that was, but if you know Alexander McQueen, you know that there was an exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art some years ago. He's gone now. He took his life some years ago, but they did kind of a retrospective at the Costume Institute. And the lines for that show were truly, like, they wrapped around the block like 5 times. Something like that. It was a very, very, very big blockbuster exhibit. And, it was like, well, I'm going to New York to see it. I had the privilege of seeing that show. It was absolutely a privilege to be able to go there and see it. And if you were a member, you could, like, skip the line, you know? And so I think, you know, we were all like, we got to do this. We got to do this. So we became members of the Met, okay? And so when you're a member of the Met, and by the way, this was like, I was a member of the Met for like a year. My mom might still be, but. So I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art to sit in the member lounge because I was living there, not in the member lounge. I was living in New York for a hot minute. And I was like, well, I'm going to go to the Met member lounge because I can. And I took my laptop and was doing some work. And my book was coming out, my Make and Love Quilts book. And so I had these postcards for it. I don't know who I was trying to promote it to, but I guess Tim Gunn. So I had those in my bag. I happened to have them in my bag. I look over and sitting on a couch, you know, a settee in the Metropolitan Museum of Art's member lounge is Tim Gunn. And I was like, I made that kind of sound. And he was doing exactly what you would imagine him to be doing. He was sort of perfectly poised, looking through a book of art, you know, because the Met has big coffee table books of wonderful art, you know, out on the coffee table. The coffee table is a large place. and he was, looking something. And I said to Yuri, my boyfriend at the time, I was like, "It's Tim Gunn. Oh my God." And I don't know, when you see a famous person that you admire, I've never seen a famous person I didn't admire. Like, screw you, man. Like, I hate you. That wouldn't happen. But I just, the only time, it's happened a couple times I've met celebrities or whatnot, and I just tell them thank you, for their work. I think that's the only way to really, for me to do it. I mean, I just don't want to say, oh, I love this and I love that, and because I could just go on and I'd probably babble and they'd be like, yeah. But I just, so I went to, I did it. I was like, I screwed my courage to the sticking point, and I was like, I have a book coming out about quilts, and I could tell him that, and that could just be it, and I could thank him, and just, that's it. So I got up, and I went over to Tim Gunn. He got up. He was leaving. I did not interrupt him. He was like getting up to go, and I was like, excuse me, hello, Mr. Gunn? And he was like, yes. And I said, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to say thank you for everything you do for those of us who, make things out of fabric with our hands. I'm a quilter. I'm not a fashion designer, but I just love what you do. Thank you so much, And I wrote a book, and it wasn't. I don't think I would have done that. I would give him a card. I didn't get. I honestly. I mean, maybe I did, but I don't feel like I would have been like, here's my book. Like, I think I had those things in my bag, and I went and got one. It was like, oh, I just wrote a book, and here it is. I think that's what it is, because here, Tim Gunn, here's a promo flyer for my book. I don't think I did that, but maybe I have a selective memory. Anyway, he was delightful, and he said, I said, Mr. Gunn, and he said, call me Tim. Call me Tim. And he was like, well, good for you. Good for you. You'll go far, or something like that. And then he was gone. Out of my life. Out of my life. Oh, yeah. Hey, you roll up your shirt sleeves. Okay, hang on. We have a first person in the chat. I mean, a person in the chat for the first time. You roll up your shirt sleeves. I am here with the challenge of rolling up your t-shirt sleeves all the way and to keep them up all stream. Interesting. What an interesting task you have. Well, we'll see if you succeed. Malrose, I was watching a class by Zach Foster. He was talking about intentionality and how that seeps through your fingers when you make a quilt. Oh yeah. That might be getting at why quilts have that forever loving vibe. That's really good. I need to watch that. Malrose, will you put well, it might be a class you signed up for, right? It might be a class that you pay for. But if I like that quote, that would be good. I could just message him and get that. I think I will. That's great. It opened the class. He also opened the class with a 15-minute meditation, which I can't say I've ever encountered in a sewing or art class. That is unusual. That's cool. What did you think? What did it do? Yeah, Devil Wears Prada, love it. Sherry Lynn Wood does a meditation, that's right. Yep, that's right. Yomiko, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like that. It does change the vibe, doesn't it? I think that'd be pretty nice. Yeah, for those of you who have been through that experience, for those of you who have had that experience, how did it affect the class? What are your thoughts? Tell me more. I have gotten 2 circles done since I started this crazy stream. $47 quilt tops rocks. That's amazing. See, we make a lot of quilts. Okay, Kirsten, what I like about it is that the meditation does ground you in what you're doing. Makes you think about what you're creating instead of distracted sewing. Yeah. Yeah, like why are you in the class, right? What brought you here? What are you looking for? I mean, how can that be anything but terrific, right? Sounds good to me. Sounds really good. Okay. But SJ says, oh man, I would be so sour if I came to quilt class and there was a 15-minute meditation. That's funny. Sewing is my meditation. Fair. SJ with the counterpoints today. I'm loving it. And Sue says, yes, I agree. She concurs with SJ Pepper saying, do not bring your yoga mindfulness to my sewing class, my quilting workshop. So Demented found it a little irritating. Yeah. If I was in my sewing room, my kids knew to bother me only if they were bleeding or the house was on fire. Yeah, because you were meditating, right? You were in there meditating. It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, not to bother you, exactly. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I've never met Zach. That's somebody I'd like to meet. Sherry Linwood is very cool. Anyway, everybody's cool. Mostly. But yeah, like, I don't know. I can see how it would be. Well, it'd be disarming. Did you know that would happen? Was it like in the class description that, we will start our class with a 15-minute meditation? Or was it like, oh, okay. That'd be interesting to know. Oh, and that's an interesting thing. So Demented says, that you'd be okay doing it for a bit, but 15 to 20 minutes in a 3-hour class at QuiltCon was irritating. It's interesting. If you have 3 hours, a quarter of an hour that's no small chunk. I mean, it's significant, taking like a minute to like breathe deeply or something might be. I'm not saying either way about this. I don't have an opinion necessarily. So yeah, but did you know ahead of time? People who have hobbies do much better psychologically than those who don't. I have also read that in several places, in like, fancy academic papers and stuff. I read about it when I did a lecture for QuiltCon on quilting and mental health. I mean, there needs to be more study done on quilting and mental health, but like the results of doing crafts and things with people who are struggling with, depression and anxiety, it's just like, yeah, like it really helps a person have a purpose. Oh, you know what? One of the things that was so beautiful that I read was that if you're making a quilt, yeah, I think I know where to tell you to get this. If you're making a quilt, it kind of, because it takes a while to make, if you're really depressed or if you're going through like a chemotherapy treatment or, you're very ill or something, it's very healthy, it's very good because you're thinking of the future. If you're making a quilt and you want to finish it, then you're sort of subconsciously or consciously living into the future, right? You're working on a project and you want to finish the project, and so by default, ergo, you are going to see a future. You're going to have a future. There will be a future in which you finish your quilt, and that is extremely, extremely good to be in that kind of frame of mind. Even if you're super depressed, you're like, well, at least I have my quilt to make, so I'm going to work on it more tomorrow, that kind of thing. Oh, you gotta get going. Okay, yeah, Christmas. Hey, thank you so much for coming. Drop in on Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central. 11 a.m. Central on Tuesday, and yeah, I'll probably start with the tattoos. I'll start with tattoo stuff, and then we'll do Yvonne Wells and a bunch of different things. So yeah, Tuesday. Tattoo Tuesday. That's what we call it around here. I'm glad you could come by. Thanks for coming. Melrose. Yeah, it was a pay class, but he said he's given it before. Pay class, I thought it was great. It was also pretty simple hand sewing. Okay. The class that had the meditation was hand sewing, so it was pretty, I don't want to say basic, but you weren't doing like templates and fusible web. You didn't know the vibe would be sort of new age when you signed up. Good, Dee Marie, I'm gonna click on it. Yeah. Kirsten says, I went to a sew day with real live people yesterday. Oh wow, it was so lovely to be with other quilters. You're in Ontario, Canada, where you're starting to reopen. I'm so glad. Yeah, good for mental health indeed. Yeah, I hope the winter, oh no, what did I just do? I hope we have a winter that, doesn't suck with COVID, Pam Priest, working on the Bronte quilt is helping you with your grief. Imagine it helps with other issues. Indeed. I hope you can post pictures of your latest pictures of the Bronte quilt. You should post it on Instagram and tag it Quilt Folk Bronte, if you want to, and also put it on the Discord and the making channel. Hey, Mark Wesley, tattoo. Oh, well, Mark, hello. So we've got a friend who isn't a quilter, Chris Mess, and he mentioned that he's a tattoo artist. And so I was like, well, we've got to take a look at some stuff that has, tattoo themes in quilts and fabric. So I was thinking about, what tattoo like quilts can I bring to the table, because I think that would be really fun. It's just like it's a fun idea, and someone being a tattoo artist kind of inspired that. Well, did inspire that. So that's what we're talking about. Oh, and maybe he's gone now. I didn't want to give too much away, but they give tattoos at QuiltCon. A couple years they've set up a tattoo artist, and a tattoo artist has been there. Do you know anybody? Yeah, do you know anybody who's gotten a quilt tattoo? Do you have one? Because that would be way cool to show that on the show. I mean, provided it's safe for work. I'm sure I can find them online. Gotta stop pigeonholing. Yeah, it's true. He's not a quilter yet. It's true. We'll Oh, good. You'll post pics. Okay, good. So, I know. I have a question. Thanksgiving. What's going on with Thanksgiving? What are you doing? We're going to meet with friends here. They invited us to have turkey, which is great. I mean, are you traveling this year or no still? Because of COVID? Or are you vaccinated, doing the thing? Are you going to go anywhere? This music sounded kind of like holiday music. That's what made me think of it. And it's already the 14th of November. It's crazy. Tacos. Dee Marie. Tacos. I love that. I love taco night. Do you do like a taco night where you set up like a little taco bar and people make their own taco, or you make your own taco if you're dining alone? That's what I like to do. And by the way, the Ortega like taco seasoning mix, that's just probably all preservatives that are just flavored. You can't get that here in London. You can, but it's not the same. So when Eric and I were home for that brief time, or we were in the States, we got some Ortega mix. We have like a carton of it now. It's not the same. thinking about it. Okay. Tattoo. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Any tattoo stuff you put in the Discord will be featured on the show. In the episode discussion channel. If you have anything, just throw it in there. 3-hour drive. So SW, hi. 3-hour drive to see your daughter for Thanksgiving. That's doable. That sounds great. I'm so glad you can see her. Had it. Kirsten had it. Thanksgiving is done. Oh, October in Canada. Right. Canadian Thanksgiving is October. He smoked a turkey breast. Whoa! I know what you meant. That was probably pretty good. I've had smoked turkey, like at an outdoor festival, like a covered bridge festival in the autumn, you know. It's delicious. It's so good. Turkey day with a friend out of town. It'll be cool. So Pampries, are you and your friend like traveling to go somewhere? Like it's like a meetup somewhere and have a good time? I love that idea. That's wonderful. Or maybe you're saying it's a friend from out of town and you're gonna be hanging out. That'll be great. 10. So Demented is hosting. You're meeting your son's girlfriend's mom. Oh, so are they very serious? Your son and the girlfriend? It's not a fiance, you know, I notice, right? So that's interesting. So they must be quite serious, right? Or I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just like she needs a place to be, and that's cool. Oddly, lately it's been Ortiz sardine mustard broccoli tacos. Are you what? Sardine, mustard, and broccoli tacos. Chat. What do we think about this? What do we think about this? I mean, it actually reminds me of a question Eric has had. It's one of those Zen questions. Are nachos a salad? Before you answer, think about it. It's not a riddle. It's a genuine, like, thought experiment. Like, are nachos a salad? I mean, and that's when the music ends. Are nachos a salad? You can't Google this. It doesn't Google. I mean, you've got cheese. You've got crunch, you know? You got like a crunch. Sometimes you'll have, you know, jalapenos and olives, dressing, sour cream, you know? I mean, I don't know. He has a better argument for saying that he's pretty sure nachos are a salad. That's good. That's good. Eric's chili was awesome. It was awesome. Little spicy, but that was okay. It was good. Oh, good. Okay, great. Your son-in-law's mom and I are great friends. It's nice. That's fantastic. That's great. Okay, and so Demented's son and the girlfriend live together. He's gonna propose sometime. Well, I hope that they have a happy life, whatever happens. I mean, with the like whole official thing. I never thought I'd get married again, but I did. And it's for life, man. He's gonna have to like keel over dead or disappear into a cloud of smoke. I love that man. And I'm standing by my man. And I didn't want to, you know, just like shack up. I was like, no, we're getting married. Caitlin's hosting. Oh, nice. The little brother cooks. My brother-in-law is a fantastic cook, and he really likes cooking. So we're all like, yeah, sure, Jack. I mean, yeah, if you want. Do you need any help? No? Okay, great. Kirsten, thank you. Corn is a vegetable. So chips in nachos are the vegetable part. And you can have meat in a salad. So if you have like, you know, brisket nachos or whatever, you know, that's fine. I think they're a salad. So Pam Priest is asking why we live in London, and oh, thanks, Ma Rose. I think he's the best. Eric's the best. We're living here right now. Pam asked because the company he works for, has offices in States and here, and the opportunity arose for him to come here, do that. And work for the company here. And it was COVID, and so it was not a convenient time to do this. But we don't have pets and we don't have kids, and we could do it. And Eric, I don't want to give the impression that this was all his idea and I'm just like along for the ride. But I mean, he was like, I think we should think about this, And we went round and round and round about it. I mean, and it was COVID, the first wave of COVID, so all we did was just like watch Marvel movies and talk about like, should we do that? Like, what are we gonna do? And we actually decided not to go. I was like, I just can't do it, especially now. Everything was so scary, and I was like, what is crazy? Like, it's insane. And as soon as we decided that it was better not to do it, like the next day, we both kind of looked at each other like, I think we weren't happy with that decision, but we just could not decide. I mean, it was just go or not go. And as soon as we took it off the table, we realized it did sound like something that we could do and that we wanted to do. So we have a lease here for 18 months. We signed it in August. And I mean, I really like it here. I never ever thought I would move out of Chicago ever. I mean, I did once before, and I missed it every day. But London, I mean, I love this place. I love this place. There's so many things I love about it, but I don't know. So maybe, and Eric has a work visa, and because I'm his wife, I can be here, with him on that visa or have a spouse visa or whatever. So that's an open-ended thing. That's not going to end anytime soon. So I don't know. We'll see. The fashion around here is really great. It's really great. You just see the most wild outfits, And you see that in New York too, but London, I don't know. It's just, London has embraced me. New York was like, oh, you're here? No, New York didn't even do that. New York was like, I just never, ever felt comfortable in New York. But London, very quickly, I was like, oh, I like you. Yep. Hey, Brendan. Hi, Brendan's here. I'm so glad. Hello. Yeah, so demented. London is amazing. Hey, nice. I've started saying, Pam, hiya. That's how people, like, so many people say hiya. Like when you come into a shop and they say something very strange here. Marianne, if she's still around, you can probably attest. Marianne's lived here for some time, but they'll say, like, come up to, like a clerk or something will come up to you in a store and say, "You all right? You all right?" And it's like, I mean, we say that like, "Are you all right?" Like when we're concerned, you know, like Americans, it's like, "Are you all right?" And Eric and I are still not quite used to it. "You all right? Like, are you in trouble?" Like, no, it's just like, "Hello." It's interesting. Yeah, hiya is really nice. Okay, Marianne. Okay, good. Cheers and toodle pip. As almost no one in the UK says. Yeah, exactly. The "Are you all right" one is, and hiya. Hiya is really nice. I like it because it's like sing-songy. Hiya. Sort of this nice tone. Hiya. What else? What else is... Well, I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything negative. I'll get red. I'll get red for it. Some things are. Oh, okay. Here, this is one I'll tell you. Our friend Stefan, she went home to the States recently for the first time, you know, since the pandemic started, and she was like, the washing machines in the United States of America. She's like, they're so big and they're so fast and they get clothes so clean. She's like, and they're so quiet. I just kept washing clothes at my mother's house. She was just like, it's amazing. Yeah, that's different. The laundry situation here is definitely different. I've talked about how you cannot get proper taco mix. Oh, and I'm sorry, the Mexican food situation here in London, like tacos out in the world, you know? Marianne, if you know something I don't, or anybody else knows something about where to get good Mexican food in London, please let me know. Because I am hurting for some really good, you know, tacos and like carnitas and like amazing guacamole. I have not been able. Eric and I are both very sad about that. We're going to eat a lot of tacos when we go home for Christmas. Oh yeah, off to the loo. Yeah. Yes, I love that. Okay, so Dimension, you gotta go. Go to Costco. Is there Costco in London? I don't think so. Enjoy Costco, and thanks for coming by. Yeah, y'all come back now. You hear exactly. I love that. Yeah, when people call you love, I love that too. At Borough Market, there's this guy who sells cheese. And he's like, "Yes, madam," you know, and yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's just wonderful. Yeah. Well, Marianne, I hear toilet a lot. Do you have a toilet, you know, or do you have a loo? And I don't know, toilet just seems like kind of weird. So I should say loo. Thai or curry? Oh, the curry is on lock. I mean, we eat Dishoom, if you know Dishoom at all. It's kind of legendary. God, it's so good. The Indian food. Chicken tikka masala, I think it's an English dish. It's not actually, I think it was invented here from the Indian population, or maybe, I don't know, but yeah, the Indian food here is unbelievable. Yeah, pub life, Brendan, you got it. Pub life, delicious Indian cuisine, indeed. Boots, scones, and clotted cream. Oh, yeah. Loo is middle class, toilet is universal. I hate toilet too. It's just like, do we have to talk about the actual thing, you know, that we need? Like, the bath, but then I think about what Americans say. You know, do you have a bathroom? Can I use your bathroom? It's like, to take a bath. We don't have a very large room for, you know, those kinds of things. There's not a bath in it, but we have a toilet. I don't know. But speaking of toilets, one of the things that I love about London is that, you know, as a person who has, you know, digestive stuff, right? I had ulcerative colitis and lots of fun surgeries and fallout from that, and I have a very different system than most people. Very different system. So I need the loo more than most people, a lot more than most people. And especially when I'm out and about or whatever. And believe me, when you're me, if you come to a country that has like in general, like 85% of the bathrooms that you go into are like clean and they have a door that shuts and they're like solo stalls. I mean, I can't even, it's so nice because, you know, and when I'm out and about, like I need it, the handicapped, I think is not the way to say, but like the disabled bathroom, you know, and I don't have a visible disability, and so it's always just lame and lousy to be waiting for the handicap stall because, or the disabled, you know, assisted care bathroom. I just get a lot of stink eye, you know, and when I come out, you know, it's like, sorry, I know I look like I was just using the bathroom that, you know, other people might need, but I did need it anyway. But in London, it's kind of like a non-issue because there's so many places. They have single stall bathrooms and they have doors and they're clean. So it's crazy, but it's those little things that really make a gal feel comfortable in a place. So it's good. And TP, yeah. No gapping doors, yeah. It's just crazy how the bathrooms are great. They're just great here. I don't know. Oaxaca, oh yeah. Nose to Quilts, we've seen Oaxaca around. We lived sort of close to one. And Eric, who can be a bit dramatic sometimes, he's like, no, it's awful. Or like he heard it was awful or something, so we haven't tried it. But I'd like to try it because I really want some tacos that I don't have to make. Okay, and Marianne says Oaxaca. Yeah, totally. Yeah, And Chicago's got really good Mexican food, like really good, because there's just a really, really strong, vibrant, big Latino population, you know. There's a lot of just wonderful, you know, food from like Mexico and yeah. Yeah, I know. Accessible. Thank you. Accessible. Couldn't think of it. Yeah, I know. There's Eric now. What time is it? 6. Hey, honey. Oh, that's right. Well, I'll probably, it's about 10 till 6 here. And Eric has just arrived home. And, oh, okay, so I'll wrap up here in just a few minutes. It's really nice to sew. I like doing this. I like doing it. So I knew that Eric and I were a good match because it's a very obscure thing. But years ago, I thought through how if you say pie, the word pie, and rise, like rise up, you know, pie, rise, then you are by default doing pay raise in an Australian accent. Think about it. Pie rise. Right? So I say this to Eric when we're talking on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And I was like, you know, pie rice. Pie rice. And he was like, oh yeah, I do. Rise up lights is rise up lights. Razor blades with an Australian accent. Rise up lights. And it's like the weirdest thing. My little pie rise thing, like, I don't even know what to describe that thing as. It's a very strange, random thought that means nothing, has no value. Why would it ever come up? But we're telling each other, everything about it. And I'm like, well, if you say pie rise, you have an Australian accent. And he's like, oh yeah, and there's this one too. I was like, I mean, you got something special. Eric, we have to go to Oaxaca. Yeah. Okay. So that's my little story. All right. Yeah, I gotta go. Okay. Well, it's been very, very nice getting together with you all. I hope that you got some done on your project. I sort of did here at the end. I'll probably sew more this evening. We're watching Westworld. I really like Westworld. Oh, I really like it. Season 2 was not as good as season 1. Season 1 was amazing. So, but we just started season 3, and Jesse Pinkman is in it. Aaron Paul. Oh, he's such a good actor. Oh my god. Oh, I love him. Oh, Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad, I think is one of the best characters and one of the best performances ever put to television screen. I mean, oh god. Breaking Bad was like, I watched it all. I had never seen it, and like I watched it one summer. I just watched it. I mean, I had to keep watching it so it would be over one day because it's so dark, of course. It was really oof. But Aaron Paul in that role, and that role itself was just incredible. Anyway, so he's in Westworld season 3, which is good. Yeah, joke onomatopoeia. I think so. Thank you all for coming, and be good and keep sewing, and eat tacos, not with sardines. DeMarie, what is that about? Okay, see you soon. I'll see you Tuesday. Tattoo Quilts and Yvonne Wells and who knows what else. So take care, y'all. Good to see you as always.